Today on the center of it all, I hope you're hungry. We have an interesting show in store for today. We each picked one of our favorite kitchen encounters dish. So get ready for a show filled with sweet heat, a hearty sandwich, and some holiday seafood hors d'oeuvres. Welcome! It's an exciting show with the best of kitchen encounters. Let's kick things off with Andrew Callista's favorite pick.
Bubba may have told Forrest Gump that he knew everything about shrimping, but Mel probably knows everything there is to know about cooking shrimp. Her bacon-wrapped shrimp was probably my favorite day of work here at WHVL. Perfectly cooked shrimp wrapped in the champagne of meats. Doesn't get any better than that. And the sauce she chose was bone-looking good. And she had crab-filled shells to go with it. Serve these appetizers at your party and it's sure to be a hit.
'Tis the season for parties and celebrations. After all, once the halls have been decked, who doesn't want to invite a few friends over to share the festive atmosphere? Today, I'm going to show you how to make 2 stress-free, crowd-pleasing seafood hors d'oeuvres. Jumbo shells stuffed with succulent crab meat and shrimp wrapped in bacon. Let's get started. First, we're going to make our jumbo shells stuffed with Crabmeat Cocktail. Making Crabmeat Cocktail couldn't be easier. I've put a cup of diced celery and a cup of diced onion in a nice big bowl, and I'm going to add 6 ounces or about a cup and a half of grated white cheddar cheese. I'm going to toss these 3 around just till they're combined. Now I'm going to add my spices, which is going to be about a tablespoon of cayenne pepper sauce. You can put more in if you like. That's about a tablespoon and a half. Half a teaspoon of celery seed, just like you'd kind of put in tuna salad. And the juice of half of a lemon. I'm going to toss all of this together. Coat everything. You'll know when it's coated enough because your cheese is going to kind of take on the pink color of that cayenne pepper sauce. And now we're going to add about half of a cup of mayonnaise. And you don't want to add too much mayonnaise, folks, just enough to make it creamy, because we don't want our crab cocktail to taste like mayonnaise. We want it to taste like crab meat. And that's looking all beautiful. Now I'm going to add 1 pound of the best quality jumbo lump crab meat I can find. If you live near the ocean or you're making this in the summer, fresh is best, but don't hesitate to use some of our really, really good quality pasteurized crab meats. Now I'm just folding this. I'm going to get a little gentler here because I don't want to mash up those beautiful big pieces of crab meat. And I'm about done. I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator to chill for 1 to 2 hours. While my crab meat cocktail is chilling, I've cooked 1 pound of jumbo pasta shells. You're going to have to cook an entire pound. It's going to be about a dozen more than you need, and the reason why you have to do this is because inside this box, some are broken and some are going to rip and tear while they cook. After they're all drained, you just pick about 24 of the prettiest ones you can find with no rips or no tears, and just invert them on a baking pan to drain and dry. And what I mean dry is not dry out. Be free of all liquid, moisture, or water. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these with plastic wrap, and I'm going to set them aside while I cook my bacon. You've seen me oven roast bacon here on Kitchen Encounters more than once, And you know how I feel about these disposable aluminum broiler pans, the kind with the corrugated bottom that give all that grease a place to go to as the bacon crisps in the oven. The only difference of what I'm doing today is I'm going to pre-cook the bacon or half-cook the bacon. Why am I doing that? Well, when you're making shrimp wrapped in bacon or even scallops wrapped in bacon, the problem you have is the bacon takes longer to cook than the shrimp does. So what I'm doing is I'm evening the playing field. I'm giving the bacon a head start. I've laid it side by side on these pans, and I'm going to put it in a 375-degree oven for about 10 minutes until it's light and soft, but not fully cooked. While my bacon's in the oven, I've been stuffing my shells. About 2 tablespoons for each one. And in case I forgot to mention, you want to cook these shells al dente, just according to the package directions, because keep in mind, they're not going to go back into the oven to bake. So you really want to have these fully cooked. 24 shells. I'm going to go get my bacon out of the oven. Here, now it's perfect. So let's just go up the middle, as Joe Paterno would say. My bacon cooked for 10 minutes. I took it out, and it cooled for 10 minutes. And now it's at room temperature, so it's time to wrap my shrimp. And you'll be happy to know you can actually do this a day in advance and put these in the refrigerator overnight. So for each shrimp, what I want is a half slice of bacon at room temperature. My secret ingredient, which is going to make my shrimp really tangy and keep them moist and succulent, is about a half teaspoon of Dijon mustard on the top of each one. I'm just going to wrap each one, stick it with a little toothpick, and lightly place it back on the same pans that I cooked the bacon in. Now when you're placing these in the pan, I say lightly place, because you don't want to poke a hole in these pans with the toothpick. I'm just going to put these back in the oven at 400 degrees for 12 minutes, and they're going to be ready to serve. Without stress or mess, I'm serving 2 succulent seafood hors d'oeuvres. One hot, one cold. I've added some salted, roasted almonds for crunch, some briny olives, fennel-crusted salami with cheese and crackers. Let's start the party. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.
Stick around. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. Thanks for joining the center of it all as we continue on with the best of kitchen encounters. I now pass the torch to John Stroh, who gives us a little more detail about his favorite Melanie dish.
I have to go back to our St. Patty's Day episode of The Center of It All in 2010 for my favorite kitchen encounters dish. You know, I'd never really eaten a lot of corned beef before, and Mel made this amazing sugar braised corned beef with one of my favorite ingredients, brown sugar. And I'm telling you, you don't have to be Irish to feel lucky after eating this one.
It's St. Patrick's Day, and I'm going to cook my family a really special dinner tonight. But instead of my old corned beef with cabbage and potato recipe, I'm going to make them my new sugar braised corned beef sandwiches on homemade caraway seed rolls. I can't wait for them to get home tonight. Let's get started. Well, now we're just going to put everything in my big 12-quart stock pot. And I'm going to start with 2 cups of water. How easy is that? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 corned beef roasts, fat side up, and just place them down in the pot. And if they overlap a little, that is absolutely just fine. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fragrant spices. And I'm going to not put them on top of the roast. I'm going to put them down into the water. I'm going to put the cinnamon sticks, bay leaves, cloves, allspice. This is just wonderful. Wait till you smell this roast. The next thing I'm going to do is on top of the roast, I'm going to distribute 2 really big, coarsely chopped onions right over the top and 12 large garlic cloves right over the top. Lastly, what I'm going to add are 2 28-ounce cans of crushed tomatoes. 1. Here comes the second one. And 2 tablespoons of sugar and red pepper flakes. I'm going to finish that off with 2 more cups of water. About the only secret I can say to you about this whole recipe is to layer it in the pot the way I told you to. You want to make sure you have water in the bottom and your roast's fat side up so that when it comes to a boil, it's not going to scorch the bottom of the pan. Now all I'm going to do is put a lid on this, bring it to a boil, and turn it down to simmer for 3 hours while I go off and do something that's really fun. It's been 3 hours, and as you can see, my roast has been simmering away, and doesn't that look fantastic? And it's all reduced down. The only thing we're going to do now is take it out of the pot, coat it in some brown sugar, finish it off in the oven. Wait till you taste these sandwiches, folks. Well, I've taken my roasts out of the pot and I've put them in an ordinary 9 by 13 inch baking dish with a rack in the bottom of it. They're fat side up and I'm just spooning brown sugar on the top of them. They're going to go into the oven at 350 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes until the sugar caramelizes, and then we eat. My roast is out of the oven. I've let it rest about 10 minutes. I'm slicing it on a 30-degree angle, as paper thin as I possibly can with a good sharp knife. Would you please look at this, that sugar crust and that succulent soft meat. These are going to make fabulous sandwiches. Isn't this just a beautiful plate of meat? I can't wait for you to taste it on my deli-style sandwiches with a side of potato salad and some dill pickle slices. This might just be your favorite St. Patrick's Day meal. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.
St. Patty's Day or not, that sandwich is good any day of the year. But don't go anywhere. When we return, we take a look at my personal favorite dish. Welcome back to the center of it all. I'm your host, Alex Rabb. We have one last dish to share today. One of my favorite dishes is Melanie's Sweet Heat Strawberry and Guajillo Chicken Quesadilla.
It's strawberry season. Ripe, juicy strawberries are in all of our grocery stores, our local farmers markets, and I just picked 2 pints out of my own backyard strawberry patch this morning. When I was a little girl, I couldn't wait for my grandmother to make strawberry shortcake, strawberry ice cream, and strawberry preserves. Now that I'm a grown-up, I have a secret. Strawberries aren't just for dessert. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a spicy, sweet and savory strawberry sauce. And I'm going to be putting it on top of my grilled chicken, Vidalia onion, black bean, and queso fresco quesadillas. Let's get started. Before we move over to the stovetop to make our strawberry sauce, I'm going to make my spice blend and season my chicken thighs. What I have here in a 1-cup container is a mixture of salt, black pepper, cayenne pepper, guajillo chili powder, smoked paprika, and dry English mustard. I like to give it a rough stir just to get everything basically combined. And then my favorite thing to do is transfer it to a glass cheese shaker, the kind with big holes on the top. This makes for a really easy, mess-free way to apply it to the chicken. What I have here are about 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I've used a pair of kitchen shears to trim big pieces and chunks of chicken fat off of them, which cause flare-ups when it hits the grill. All I'm going to do is lightly season the tops, not the bottoms of the chicken thighs. There's no reason to over-season these. This is spicy enough. And I'm going to set these aside for about 15 minutes to let my spice blend work its magic. Now we're going to move over and make our sauce. My spicy strawberry sauce couldn't be easier. I've hulled and coarsely chopped 4 generous cups of strawberries. After that, in less than 5 minutes, this is going to be ready to eat. I'm going to add 1 cup of white sugar, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, gives it a really nice full flavor, a teaspoon of guajillo chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Tablespoon of lime juice, and a teaspoon of strawberry extract just for a little bit of extra flavor. I'm going to stir these together. I'm going to take my time and do this until the strawberries are completely coated in sugar. That looks about right. Now I'm going to put this over medium-high heat. Bring it to a saute and let it simmer gently for 5 minutes. When this is finished simmering, I'm headed out to the grill to cook our chicken. My chicken thighs are grilled. They were over indirect heat for just about 8 to 10 minutes per side, and I cut them into strips. Don't they look wonderful? Now I've put some corn oil in the bottom of this pan, and I'm using a stir-fry pan. You can use a 12-inch skillet. It'll work just fine. What I'm going to do over medium-high heat, I'm going to add 1 pound of Vidalia onions, and I like to use Vidalias because they're in season this time of year and they're really sweet. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to season my Vidalias with 1 to 2 tablespoons of the same spice rub we used to season the chicken thighs. I like spice and heat, so I'm going with 2 tablespoons today. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of saute, stir fry these for 5 to 6 minutes until they're soft but still crunch tender. Oh, my onions have been sauteing for about 5 minutes and they are just perfect. Now I'm going to add 1 16-ounce can of black beans. These have been drained and rinsed thoroughly. You always want to drain your black beans and rinse them before you use them, folks. Next, I'm adding about 1.5 cups of queso fresco cheese. Queso fresco cheese is a fresh Mexican cheese. It's similar in texture to feta and has about the same shelf life, 4 to 5 days. Unlike American cheeses like cheddar, this doesn't melt. It just gets a little creamy around the edges, which makes it absolutely perfect to add to quesadillas. I'm going to stir these in. Oh, that looks wonderful. And I'm going to cook this just till it's heated through. And now I'm going to add all of this grilled chicken. I'm going to stir this together and let it cook for about 1 minute, and it is going to be time to eat. Quesadillas are warm corn or flour tortillas that have been lightly grilled and are filled with a meat or vegetable mixture and cheese, just like our queso fresco cheese today. Traditionally, they're folded in half so they can be picked up and eaten on the go. If you want to serve them that way, be sure to drizzle some of this spicy sauce in the center first. For a prettier presentation, I like to sandwich my meat in between 2 flour tortillas and drizzle it with the sauce on top and garnish it with a fresh strawberry. No matter how you decide to serve these quesadillas, I can promise you this strawberry sauce is full of sweet heat. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.
It is so, so good. Now remember, Mel has all of her recipes on her website, kitchenencounters.typepad.com. Thanks for watching and happy eating.